Sunday, March 14th. Today we'll be heading out to the front yard where we spent the last couple of years working on it, and this is what it's looked like today. It started off as this space that was flat and had lots of ivy growing, and with our house addition we lost some growing space, and so we wanted to grow out here. And we had loamy soil from a planter that we removed as part of that process, and we moved it here, and we have this little berm here. And the idea with this space is to grow and make it not stick out too much, that it's obviously a kitchen garden, so we don't have plants in a grid format, and we try to make it look as organic as possible in terms of its flow. So we have this nice curved path that we have down there, and then in front we have this big wide row where we layer different plants here, and this is giving this more of a cottage feel but with vegetables. And in the middle with it we have this row of artichokes, and then behind the artichokes we have corn. And then in front of the artichokes we have ornamental wheat and other natural grasses that grow. And a lot of this has to do with some landscape architecture elements where we're trying to build a barrier without making a fence that's traditional. So these things are layered in for some type of barrier. So for example, we have this corn that's growing, and it's furthest away from the sidewalk, and that is protected by the artichoke, so it makes it less enticing for you to want to reach over and grab it. And then the artichoke, they're protected by the ornamental wheat, so you can see it right there, it's a little bit tall, so that also has that element. So that's what we have put into this design. And here we have some kale and some chard. Ideally I would have grown this kale sooner so that it pops out more. The artichoke has overtaken this space, but as it dies back for the summer, other plants will fill in, so that's the idea. Same with the grasses, so once these grasses die back, the kale and the other colorful plants will pop out. The taller ones are the Utrecht ornamental wheat, so when we go down a little bit further you can see what they look like when they form their wheat. Let's see, so artichoke, and then we have layered in here some buckwheat. It's a cover crop, it adds nice color and texture. This is the red soba, and this is a traditional white one. We also have California poppy, and down below we have a bunch of native plants. You can call them weeds if you like to. Here's a peppermint colored chard. So these were grown a little bit earlier, so they have more of a popping effect when you look at it from this angle. So I got some red ones, and then our artichokes are coming in, so it's getting to be artichoke season soon. And these artichokes are essentially weeds, and the best way to grow them is to grow them, if you're in California, native soil, because your clay has a lot of the phosphorus and all the minerals that these artichokes are good at getting, because they have deep tap roots. So to grow them in a raised bed with potting soil is a little bit not allowing the plant to reach its full potential. So let's go down here some more, and you can see here's an example of the ornamental wheat, and once it matures a little bit more it gets this nice blue slate color. So right now it's a little bit light blue. We have a Cosmo down there, and then we have a lot of broad beans. I'm not a fan of the taste of broad beans, but I like growing them. They're easy to grow. They create a lot of biomass, and we harvest the seeds and grow them again, and they have pretty flowers that are quite fragrant too. And so once again, this is just clay soil that we're using to grow everything here. Let's see what else is down here. Here's a California poppy. This is the Mikado. It's got this deep orange color, and it's cold right now, so it's furled up. And then here we have some African blue basil. This is a plant that has sterile seeds, so it produces a lot of flowers, attracts a lot of bees, but it can only be propagated by cutting. And let's go around the back and look at what's back there. So on this side here, before we go there, I may forget about this little section here. We have more broad beans. So here are the flowers that I was talking about. More cover crop, crimson clover. We have a dill there, and then that's a heritage raspberry, and then this is a forsythia plant. We don't get a lot of cold, so the forsythia doesn't bloom profusely, but it does bloom nonetheless. Comfrey and fountain grass. This is an ascot succulent type plant, and then here are the freesia flowers. And then as far as this space, we built up the steps and laid down a lot of mulch from the trunks of this olive tree that we had to thin out because of rot, so we built it up with that. And then there's a little tuft right there. Those are wildflowers, and the seeds came from a lady who grows a lot of wildflowers, does a really good job of wildflower photography. And here is a artichoke plant that volunteered itself, I believe. Looks like an artichoke, or maybe it's some other wildflower. And here is the backside of our garden, where we have most of our vegetables growing that we can pick and eat. And that bed over there is a good amount of space for sprawling plants like watermelon, because we get a lot of good sun for the watermelon. So let's continue on down here this way. Here we have some cilantro, and then down here are Asiatic lilies that we're waiting for. Sweet peas. This is a wildflower and a plant that is actually poisonous to eat if you try to eat it. It looks like a regular pea that you can eat. And before I continue, I just spotted this guy sprouting. This is a daylily down here, and it's a I think it's a wild daylily because you can consume the flowers, and I believe the roots as the tubers, rhizomes as well. But we're growing this to dry out the flower buds and use it as an ingredient for our dishes. Let's continue down this way. We have did I already talk about this cereal rye? It's a cover crop and a good ornamental plant. It makes these pretty tufts of grass. Let's see, we have more corn this way. So these are Japonica striped maize corn seedlings, and we grow them for the ornamental appeal. They have these really nice beautiful stripes of on their leaves. Maybe we'll go down and look at a different area where we have a more mature plant. And these are branches that we've staked down for the time being to protect our young seedlings, because what will happen is skunks and possums will come at nighttime digging for grubs and such, and they'll inadvertently dig out our plants. So that's what these are here for. And then here is a Cosmo. These are seashells Cosmo, and we have some sugar snap peas that are down here, and these are good for snacking on. This is a little bit more mature now. I believe this is quinoa. These are volunteer quinoa plants. If not quinoa, they're lamb's quarter. And then we have some lupin. And here is another cilantro, but the star of the show next to the cilantro is actually this purple broccoli. This is a Miranda broccoli. It's a hybrid, and this is the biggest broccoli I've ever grown, so I'm really satisfied by its size, and we're gonna hope to get a bigger one next time. Starting to figure them out. This is planted in the sunniest spot here, and we came out before the sun came out to do this video because it creates the sun will create a lot of contrast, making things difficult to see, but at the same time we can't see how sunny a location is or how shady it is. There's our Genoa lemon, and it's producing a lemon for us. And then down in this area we have that whole section that's resting. We're going to plant watermelon soon. We have a few plants of soybean, and we had a cold spell, so hopefully these guys didn't get stunted. Soybean likes it cool, so we try to grow it early in the season. I'm trying to figure them out as well. And in the past we've grown a plant that produced maybe 4 or 5 pods, but now I'm trying to get like a good amount. This is a little tiny bed of shallots. These are the French heirloom shallots, and they are quite tasty. They're close to the garlic. I'm blanking out on their name right now, but I think they need a cold stratification to get going, because I planted them in October or even fall, around September, and they didn't start poking out until now after the cold of winter. So we may just throw them in a refrigerator for a couple weeks next time before planting. And here we have asperbrock. This is a broccoli and Chinese broccoli hybrid. It's a sprouting broccoli and really worth it to grow because they're quite expensive at the market. Some marigold. We have some onions over there, and then we're preparing this bed for another sowing of soybean. So probably this time around it'll probably be a better sowing. And we'll come around this way, and we have some volunteer potatoes. When you grow potatoes, sometimes you don't dig them all out and they end up sprouting. These are strawberry plants, and the variety is Mine Schindler. And then we have more volunteer potatoes, and then here we have a couple of zucchinis. We sowed 4 plants early in the spring. We need volume to make up for the lack of production because it's so cold, and I put 2 down yesterday because they're ready to go down, but it's been cold, and next week will be the ideal time with the updated forecast. So we put 2 here, and then we're gonna baby the other 2 and put them down accordingly and see how they do. We got a meandering row of millet. So this is basically a miniature size corn, but it's going to be purple leaved, and some garlic back there and in the back there. And then these are some broad beans, once again to grow as cover crop and to harvest the biomass, because they do well in clay, so let them grow. And that pretty much concludes our garden tour of that section, and this is what our front yard's looking like. We have some daylilies that we grow in a sine wave pattern, so there's 2 of them that come together. So we're coming down this way because I wanted to show you a couple of things. First, the japonica striped maize corn. So we have some corn that we're growing here just for ornamental reasons, not so much to harvest corn. So you have the leaves that are variegated like this, and then we have a tuft of dragon's blood, arugula, and then there was a variegated corn planted here. I thought it had died or something, because this is an agapanthus, a variegated agapanthus, and look how well it blends in with that agapanthus. So here's the variegated corn. So this is what it looks like when it's truly very variegated. It's got some purple pink stripes in it. And with the corn, this type of corn, you never know how they turn out. I don't know what influences them. I don't know if it's genetics, but we're gonna try to select the ones that make the stripes and grow from those seeds, because the ones that we grow from without selecting, we get variation. Some look like regular corn. Here's a little bit of patterning. All right, and finally, it's artichoke season, and we have a purple of Ragmonia artichoke that's getting ready to be harvested, and it's out here growing in clay soil, and we're gonna be cooking them up soon. And that's gonna be the conclusion of our front yard tour, that particular corner. Oh look, the sun's coming out, so perfect timing to illustrate some of that sunlight I was talking about. So you have some shade there, and then look at our purple broccoli getting some morning sun. We're gonna end it here. Thanks always for coming out and watching our videos and learning about what we're growing. I love sharing it, and I hope you enjoy and have a wonderful day. See you in the next video.